There is a silent killer of confidence in gay men that nobody is really talking about, and that's going to be the topic of today's video. Now, we all know a lot of gay men struggle with confidence and self-esteem issues. There's a lot of pressure in the gay community to be young, have the right body, perform masculinity in the right way, etc. But that's not actually the root cause of why so many gay men struggle with confidence. The real root is self-abandonment. And by self-abandonment, I mean the habit of disconnecting from who you really are in order to be accepted, desired, or safe. A lot of gay men learned this very early. Before we even had language for what we were feeling, many of us already got the message that something about us was off. Maybe it was how we talked, how we moved, what we were interested in, the people we were drawn to, the energy we carried. Even if nobody said it directly, we could feel it. We learned to watch ourselves. We learned to edit ourselves. We learned to ask, how am I coming across right now? Instead of, how do I actually feel? And that right there is the silent killer of confidence. Because confidence is not just thinking highly of yourself. Confidence is self-trust. It's the ability to be with yourself, stand by yourself, and express yourself without constantly monitoring how you're being received. But if you grew up feeling like being fully yourself could get you judged, rejected, laughed at, excluded, or even hurt, then of course you learn to abandon parts of yourself. That wasn't weakness, that was survival. The problem is, a survival strategy that protects you as a kid can quietly sabotage you as an adult. Because now you're in rooms where nobody is technically attacking you, but your nervous system still acts like you need to perform to stay safe. So you overthink what you're wearing. You overanalyze texts. You compare yourself to other gay men. You try to act chill when you actually want connection. You try to act masculine when you actually want softness. You try to act detached when you actually care. And then you wonder why you don't feel confident. But how could you feel confident if you're constantly leaving yourself? That's the part I think a lot of people miss. Low confidence is not always about not loving yourself enough. Sometimes it's about not being with yourself enough, not listening to yourself, not honoring yourself, not telling the truth about what you want, what you feel, what hurts, what matters, what doesn't feel aligned. You cannot build real confidence on a fake relationship with yourself. And a lot of gay men have become very, very good at creating a version of themselves that gets approval. The polished version, the desirable version, the funny version, the hyper-independent version, the emotionally unavailable version, the cool, unbothered version. But underneath all of that, there's often a guy who is exhausted. Because performing is exhausting, especially when the performance never really ends. And here's the brutal part. Sometimes the more rewarded you are for the performance, the harder it becomes to let it go. Maybe people want you. Maybe they compliment you. Maybe you look successful. Maybe you have the body, the style, the social life. But if all of that is built on self-abandonment, it still won't feel like confidence. It'll feel fragile, because it is fragile. The second your body changes, your confidence drops. The second somebody pulls away, your confidence drops. The second you're not getting validation, you spiral. The second you're not the most attractive or the most interesting person in the room, you shrink. Why? Because your confidence was never rooted in you. It was rooted in your ability to maintain a performance. Real confidence feels different. Real confidence is quieter. It's steadier. It's less about being impressive and more about being grounded. It sounds like, this is who I am. It sounds like, I like what I like. It sounds like, that doesn't work for me. It sounds like, I'm allowed to take up space without proving anything. And that kind of confidence only starts to grow when you stop abandoning yourself in small, everyday moments. When you stop laughing at things that don't feel funny just to fit in. When you stop pretending you're okay with crumbs. When you stop shape-shifting around men you're attracted to. When you stop acting like you don't care because caring feels too vulnerable. When you stop betraying your own truth just to avoid discomfort. That is where confidence starts. Not in becoming more perfect, not in becoming more desirable, not in becoming more masculine, not in finally looking like the guy on Instagram. It starts in integrity. It starts in self-loyalty. It starts when your inner self begins to trust that you're not going to leave him every time acceptance is on the line. And I really want to say this clearly. If this is your pattern, you do not need more shame. You do not need to beat yourself up for being insecure. You don't need to call yourself broken. You don't need to act like you should be over it by now. A lot of this was learned in environments where authenticity did not feel safe. So healing confidence is not about bullying yourself into being bold. It's about creating enough safety inside yourself that you can finally be honest. Honest about what you want, honest about what you feel, honest about who you are, honest about where you're still performing, honest about where you're still abandoning yourself for validation. You can choose honesty over image. You can choose standards over attention. You can choose expression over approval. You can choose self-respect over being liked by everybody. And the crazy thing is, when you do that, you actually become more magnetic. Not because you're trying to be, but because people can feel when someone is real. People can feel when someone is grounded. People can feel when someone is no longer begging to be chosen. That energy is powerful. So if you've been struggling with confidence, I want you to stop asking, what do I need to fix about myself to feel better? And start asking, where am I abandoning myself? Where am I silencing myself? Where am I shrinking myself? Where am I performing instead of connecting? Where am I choosing approval over truth? Because that's the real work, and that's also the way out. The silent killer of confidence in gay men is not just external pressure. It's the internal habit of leaving yourself to survive that pressure. And the healing begins when you come back. When you come back to your body. When you come back to your truth. When you come back to your voice. When you come back to the parts of yourself you learn to hide. That is where confidence lives. Not in perfection, in presence. Not in performance, in self-trust. If this resonated with you, then let this be your reminder that confidence is not something you earn by becoming more acceptable. It's something you build by becoming more honest. And the more you stop abandoning yourself, the more solid you become. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you're a gay man and this type of content resonates with you, then make sure you subscribe. I try to post at least twice a week. And before you go, watch another video. The one up on the screen is something YouTube thinks you will want to see next. Take care, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.